Hey guys, this is Katie. My husband and I work on the farm, and our two young boys love helping out when they can. I'm usually the one that you'll talk to if you're interested in purchasing our beef or pork, so don't hesitate to reach out and ask any questions if you're interested. Don't wait, live now. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Often our perspective and experiences with death and mortality affect our witness as a light for Christ. When those that have come before us leave this earth, we are allowed to slow down and reflect on our lives. We get to decide what we want to repeat, as well as the things we don't want to pass on to the generation that follows us. Good, bad, or indifferent, we're always going to leave behind a witness of character. Times when we were an example of change and eternal perspective, and times when we just skated by, accepting the sinful actions of this world as okay. In these moments after death, we get to choose how the legacy of the previous generation shapes us so that we can shape the next generation. When a peer leaves the earth before we do, we get to look into the abyss, evaluate our mortality, and think on how we'll face death. Will we be an example of courage and strength or of selfishness? If given the chance, will we make sure those we're leaving behind are taken care of? Will we settle unfinished business and release our family to move on and find joy after we're gone? Will we still be walking forward, shining His light, or will we have given in to our narcissism by then? This gap left by someone so close can stop us in our tracks, but we get to choose if we want to carry on despite our pain. If we are honest, this process of seeing someone so close to us die can allow us to make changes in our lives so that we can have resolve to be an example of love, to help others, or continue life with bitterness and resentment because of the loss. When those that go on before us and we remember their birth as well as the day of their passing, we are often stunned and left numb. In these first few moments, we just leave the world in unbelief. We're stunned to our core, and we just want to freeze so that the knowledge of their death never becomes reality. As time continues, despite our willingness to stop, the prayer is that we begin to laugh about the good times that we had and capture the essence that God had in them as we continue on. We know that their unique light will never shine exactly the same, but that the giver of that light has not changed, and His message has not changed. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set us at liberty them that are bruised. Luke 4:18. Our losses may never make sense, but as our hearts are stayed upon Him, He will never give us what we need to carry on. He will give us what we need to carry on, just as He always has. So we must continue to be an example of this to others that remain in our care. This life is fleeting and temporary. There are no guarantees. All that we have is the moment in front of us. So take advantage of these opportunities, remembering that what is important are the memories that we make along the way and the witness of His love that we are to others. We will always carry the memories and the purpose that we shared with those we cared for and the legend of those that came and went before us that helped to pave the way. They are a part of our story and legacy just as they were when they were beside us. They just got to their destination before we did. God would not have given us the task to carry on if He didn't think that we could. We can and will probably always carry some of the sadness and grief, but I pray that we can let go of the bitterness of their departure to the one who put this spark of life in each of us. We will always look backwards with anger and look forward with no hope until we decide to trust Him. If we don't, we'll never keep going, and we'll only create more regrets by treating those around us with bitterness. I have to choose His truth and remember that this life is not about me, but it is about being a light of hope and love despite my circumstances, and realizing that this life is just the beginning. It is just a test of whether we'll succumb to the illusion that this world is the final destination. Blessed be God, even the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of all mercies, and the God of all comfort, who comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble, by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted by God. 2 Corinthians 1, 3 through 4.
Well, Kate, you bring up a very interesting subject, but one that affects every one of us. Now, the question is, which of us are not going to die? No, none of us get to go past that one, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Even Enoch and Elisha are going to have to come back and go through death because they were taken. But why do you think it's such a way that we are so dispelling of it? I mean, I think, and I don't know that you well remember, but I can remember both my mom, when my mom was dying, and I was in the hospital with her. I was her chaplain. I was her minister. And she looked at me as she was dying, and she said, "Mike, I'm scared." And I looked at her and I said, "Mom, what exactly are you scared of? What frightens you?" "I don't know. I'm just scared because I don't know." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Mom, the moment you close your eyes," and I said, you know me, I am such a different person. I said, "Mom, let's have a pre-death test. Okay, here we go. I want you to close your eyes and open them real quick, as quick as you can." She did that, and I said, "There. Now you've experienced what death is going to be like. You're going to close your eyes, and you're going to open them in the presence of Jesus. And He's going to look at you and say, 'Hey, I'm glad you're home. I've prepared for you. I have loved you, and now I'm going to get to show you all that I have for you.'" And my mom just let out this deep breath of, "Oh, is that it?" I said, "That's it, Mom. Mm-hmm. That's it. You don't have to fear anything but the fear of it." Now, when I think of that, what you talked about in there, I realize too that missing people. Mm-hmm. I'm going to miss people. You know, Nana and I both argue over who's going to die first, and both of us go, "Well, I'll die first." I always tell her, "Honey, I'll die first, so you don't have to die alone." Mm-hmm. And she says, No, if you die first, then I am alone." So I'm going, yeah, well, you know what? It's okay. Mm-hmm. Because when it happens, the grace of God is there. And at that moment of happening, I've never seen anybody in all of my years. And you have to understand, I used to be a chaplain in Parkland Hospital in Dallas, and death and dying were the most common things I experienced. I mean, from 6 months old to 90 years old. And the grief of it was watching the grief, not of the person dying, but the grief of the people around. And, you know, I've said that in the present state in which they died, the present condition in which they died, nobody wanted to bring them back. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Nobody wanted to say, "No, you come back here and be miserable a little longer, please, for my sake."
Yeah.
So I think in our mind, we have to go ahead and roll over and say, "Hey, Kate, if you die before I do, I'm going to miss you." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm almost going to cry now, but I'm going to cry. Because I can't reach out and touch you.
Right.
But then when I switch my mind to, she's in heaven with the Lord, and all of her struggles are over, then it's going to cause me to rejoice and say, oh, I thank my God that God has provided a way for us afterwards, not only to be in a good place, but to be there with each other in that place. But I've got to remind myself, and I think Satan's biggest trip, his biggest deception to us, is that we are fearful and oh, death, where is thy sting, oh, grave? And I used to think, I don't want to be out there in that field. I want to be laying down in a casket waiting. I'm going to be cold. So I'm going to be buried standing up so I can move around.
Claustrophobic.
That's right. A big wide. But I think we're all human. We all experience that. But if we open our eyes and go, you know what? Just, I guess, the latest death that I'm friends with my friend Des. And would I bring Des back? Oh, no, I loved the time we had together. I wouldn't bring him back. He's in a great place. But I have to think about that, what Christ said, not about what the devil tries to lure me into. Oh, you're alone, you're not there. I'm never alone. I'm not even alone because I have all the memories.
Yeah.
I have all the conversations. So sometimes I think the best thing to do is, okay, Kate, you're going to die, so how do we live between now and then? Or I'm going to die. I'm definitely going to die before you if it's an age factor. So I'm going to die before you, so let's live now. Let's create and have our wonderful memories.
Yeah, I think that's for me because it's like, I guess for me it's easy to. I think what I got trapped up on is I'm a fearful person. I'm like, no, I'm not a fearful person. My tendency is to react out of fear, and so then like it's constantly like anxiety and fear and what if, and it's like, but it hasn't. So, okay, death is coming. Death is a part of life because in order to live, death's going to happen. Okay, but it's not today, and it hasn't. So I can't live in anxiety knowing that it's coming. Right now, it isn't. Because then you turn around, and it's been 10 years, it's been 20 years, and you've lived in anxiety knowing death's coming. And so all of those memories are full of anxiety and fear, and you've built a life with fear instead of
enjoying the moment,
right? And love and looking forward to the next moment and looking forward to this and looking forward to that. And yeah, there's been death in those memories, but I don't know. You still have to look forward, and I look back and there's friends I've lost, and there's loss in that. But if I hadn't. You embrace those moments knowing God put that grief in those moments, but I can't cover every moment in grief or there's no life.
And he said, grieve not of those who have no hope.
Right.
We don't grieve in hopelessness. We grieve in hope. We still grieve, but we know we'll be there. So grief is not wrong. It's just knowing there. I have decided, and I think I sometimes spend time planning my funeral. And I think what I'm going to have is, every morning we meet for prayer early in the morning, and I always come up with jokes. So I'm going to make sure that when people stand up to, when they usually have people stand up and say, oh, he was a good guy and all this, I want everybody in my family to stand up and tell the corniest joke I ever told.
No, we have to make a joke where you're the brunt of it.
That won't be hard.
Like everyone has to tell a bald joke. One has to tell a gray hair joke. One has to tell.
Yeah, that will be right. So I think we look at it that way. Then God is in the joy of it. So that's the only way we go past it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kate. Good subject. Good to talk about, even though hard. Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Thanks, son.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, thanks for joining us for Around the Supper Table. At Sanctuary Family Farms, we want to be real. Whether that's through our blogs, daily verses, or even Nana's recipes, we want to share the messages that God has laid on each of our hearts. If you liked what you heard today or want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Sanctuary Family Farms or our website at www.sanctuaryfamilyfarms.com, where we share our recipes and blogs and sell farm fresh beef and pork. We can't wait for you to join us again for next week's episode.